now.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
No.
Right here, right now.
Today is Monday, the 29th, right before we get into the spooky season here. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the SVT Podcast. Just remember, like and subscribe on YouTube and hit the bell to get alerts when we go live, like now, right the second. Follow us on Instagram and Threads at SVT Sports Pod. Slide into all the DMs. How are we doing, guys?
Doing amazing, considering the pain.
It's gonna be a long.
I do think this is gonna be a fun podcast. I think we'll leave the floor open for you guys. Cookies and drinks are on the counter for you when you walk in. Okay.
I made the cookies myself, and I housed a few of them myself. Reversing all the go to work I've done the last year and a half. One cookie at a time, but that's okay. We'll right the ship this coming week. That's the plan, right? Anyway. Right. It's gonna be a long week at work, but it's gonna be fine. I'm here to hang out, talk with the boys. Just rage on the internet. It's better than raging in other ways. Just yelling into the void is a much more productive way to get the anger out than a lot of other methods. So this is a lot safer, more constructive way to do it for sure. So we go.
Let's do it this way. I was kind of thinking maybe I want to have Sam go first, but you know what? We'll rip the Band-Aid off for you first for the 49ers. Unfortunately,
all right, fine, whatever.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the 49ers did not get to win this week.
No.
They lost to Jacksonville, 26-21. There were some after-game commotions going on between some coaches, which that's always fun.
So Nick Wagoner, actually, one of the beat writers for the Niners, he has the unedited version on his X, Twitter, whatever. He says Robert Saleh tells Liam Cohen tells him, keep my name out of your fucking mouth. And then
real Will Smith like.
Yeah, Robert Saleh says, I'll fuck your world up. You don't want to fuck with me. I will fucking end your fucking life. So those guys dropping some F-bombs at each other back and forth. So sorry about that. Sorry about all the F-bombs,
Our producer just looked like, how many beeps am I going to have to put before I release this video out?
All right. So anyway, so that's fun. That kind of came together because Robert Saleh said that the Jaguars have a system of stealing signs, and not like in a cheating way, but in a way of interpreting what the signals are that the other team is doing, and figuring it out, and basically trying to read the signs and whatever. And that was the intention. At least that's the way that the Niners were trying to spin it. But the Jaguars didn't take too kindly to that. To that intimation that they were stealing signs or whatever. So so that was kind of that's where the arguments and the spillover effect and the F-bombs came from that. So that's where that argument stems from. Now back to the game itself. A couple of weird and awful things happened. Ricky Pearsall got injured in the third quarter, injury to his knee. He tried to give it a go in the fourth quarter, but he came right back out after one play, and he ended up not returning. Upton Stout, he had his first career interception, and then it was called back on what I am generously calling a Charmin pass interference call. It was a very, very soft call. I did not agree. Richard Sherman also
underlining ton of that. Underlining ton of that. You guys got one, but you guys didn't get a pick. You guys would have tied an NFL record for how many consecutive games of not getting interception. So at least you got off of that snide. So
yeah. Well, no. The pick doesn't count. So
you got one in the game though. You did get one in the game.
Yeah. It's whatever. Anyway. So that was. great. So you look at the turnovers. Let's actually talk about some of the what actually happened here. So uh Trevor Lawrence, he did not play great in particular. He was middle of the pack statistically. 174 yards, a 92.7 rating. That's very mid. That's Brock Purdy, statistically, he was about 10 percentage points under his completion percentage for the average. He looked rusty as hell. He had the fumble at the end of the game. He had two picks. One of those picks was on Christian McCaffrey. It hit off of CMC's hands and then right into Lloyd's hands after that. So kind of tough to fault Purdy on that one, but that's just kind of how they score interceptions now. But then the second interception that was deflected at the line may have been intercepted anyway, even if it wasn't deflected. Kind of tough to tell, but yeah. So that was kind of brutal. The first interception. Well, actually, let's back up. Luke Farrell, one of the backup tight ends, he had a fumble, and on the very next play, that was the Travis Etienne 48-yard or whatever, however long it was. Yeah, it was a 48-yard touchdown run. So that was a huge swing. That was Jacksonville's first touchdown of the game as well. And then you had the interception. That was the CMC deflected interception. That was Jacksonville's second touchdown. So kind of tough to win games when you're handing over points, and then Jacksonville is capitalizing. Although that touched the second touchdown, that was a 13-play, 89-yard drive. That was an 8-minute drive as well. Yeah, so that was brutal. The third interception led to a field goal, and then that final fumble that Jacksonville was able to get a first down and then ice the game. So you gave up the ball 4 times. They got 17 points off of it. You also gave up a punt touchdown, so special teams factored terribly. that was just top to bottom a terrible performance. Brock looked rusty as hell. 6 drops. So the receivers were not helping Brock at all either. So that really plummeted the completion percentage as well. It was just overall not an impressive performance. They looked out of sync. Brock it was not a good performance, but also you wonder coming back from a turf toe injury, you need those feet to be able to plant and drive. Obviously you want the arm to be strong when you're a quarterback, but people don't the average person doesn't realize how important your feet are, how important your legs are, your hips and everything too, to put in power and pressure and everything on the ball. So you wonder how much that toe is actually healed, right? Because now it came out. I saw a little alert saying that Brock is questionable for this Thursday night game. They're turning right around. They're playing down in LA against the Rams on Thursday night. So this is another thing that we're gonna have to monitor.
Let me interject right there. You guys had your first practice today.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go through the whole entire list, but it's quite a bit. But
yeah.
Ricky Pearsall did not participate. Brock Purdy did not participate.
Estimated do not. Yeah. And all of these indicators are going to be estimations because it's not an actual practice. The only actual practice that they're going to have is Tuesday. And that's going to be just a walkthrough anyway, because Wednesday is a travel day and then Thursday you're playing. So screw Thursday night football in general. This is it's just a money grab. It's a chance to get more eyes on the NFL on a day that didn't already have football. It's cynical at best, and I hate it. And it's just a chance for more players to get hurt, which is something that the Niners desperately need, right? Is more injuries, right? And as somebody who's typically the optimist of the group, this is kind of hard to find the optimism here after this performance. But I'm gonna try. Here's the optimistic part. despite how ugly that game was, how heinous that performance was, just disgusting, they had a chance to win it. They were right there. They were right in it. It was right there. It was a shitty, disgusting performance, and they almost pulled it off anyway. Okay, so that's what gives me hope that if they can start getting some of these pieces back, and Brock, if Brock's able to go on Thursday, he can continue to knock some of the rust off. If he can build some rapport with Kendrick Bourne, Kendrick Bourne actually talked about it, that a lot of that's just kind of on him. He dropped a couple of those passes. I think he was targeted like 4 times and he only had 1 catch, and he definitely had 2 of those drops were his fault, like for sure. So and it's just him. He was talking about how he was not in the right place for Brock, and he just needs to learn. He just needs to learn his quarterback, and that's just something that you're gonna have to learn with reps, and that's something that he can't. He hasn't had a chance to do because Brock was injured, and that this is something that comes with time, right? So this is a chance to start building that rapport a little bit, and it's just going to come with time. So hopefully they can start building that time after Thursday, or start with this Tuesday walkthrough maybe a little bit. They start throwing the ball a little bit back and forth, so there's your optimistic take. They were really close to pulling it off anyway, even though they were playing like shit, and they can still get healthier and dig themselves out of it. And after this Rams game, you get basically a little mini bye before week 6. So there you go. There's your optimism's take. Yeah. So there you go. I'm done. Go ahead, Sam. Talk about how
Sam,
I was
you
going
are
to comment about Thursday Night Football and about how much it sucks because every week somebody is getting screwed by the Thursday night game.
Yeah.
So I know, last week, the Raiders did not perform very well in Washington, clearly, right? But they're coming off of, a Thursday night game into a short week, or excuse me, a Monday night game against the Chargers. And then the Commanders had a Thursday night game the week before. So they had an extended period. They had an extended week, and the Raiders had a short week. I think those situations, and then the Raiders are traveling across the country. I think that type of situation,
it's really compounds. Yeah.
It's really bad for the NFL. It's really bad for the game. I'm not saying that as a Raider fan, we got the short end of the stick, but it's just bad for the league. It's bad for the sport. I'd rather just have a second Sunday night game, or 2 Monday night games,
like we got tonight. Yeah.
Right. I rather just, at least you get some time to rest. And the Thursday night game is just really brutal on the players. And I think as fans, it sucks. I don't want to make it an excuse, but it's definitely watering down the product.
I do think if you're gonna, look, the Eagles are exception because we played the first game of the season on a Thursday night, so it's kind of doesn't really matter at that point, it's
right.
The first game of the season.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I would say that if you're gonna play a Thursday night and you're gonna play that Sunday, maybe slot you in for an evening game. As a reward, hey man, obviously the NFL is gonna make money. That's the whole point of why they're doing this, right? They make the most money out of all the leagues, and it's not even a close second, right? So maybe if you play Thursday night, you get slotted into a Sunday night game. And I don't know, maybe people don't want to see a Bears and Raiders game at Sunday night, but at the same time, it's the NFL's job to make sure they protect their players at the same time, which, by the way, we're going to get into this. The NFL Players Association just met with the Giants about the turf situation on the field. So, again, another situation of just, we got to make sure you protect the players. NFL wants a good product because they make money on the field. You got to make sure you have the product on the field to make the money. So, that being said, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Jesus Christ. My headline for the Geno Smith cost the Raiders a win. No other way around it. No other way to say it. Another 3 interception game. Hell, he's consistent. At least he's delivering the ball to the wrong team, but he's consistent. Going into this game, clearly I felt like I talked about it on here that this was a game that you can bounce back and get right. So I kind of alluded on our last podcast that the running game was going to come alive and that, there was some positivity that we heard about and we started to see. And I think, Genty, right? There was a couple games where he was like putting this close symbol, right? Like where he almost broke one. And we finally got to see that. Instead, Geno Smith gives up another 3 turnovers, and it cost the Raiders a win. And it feels totally different right now, being 2-2 and 1-3. It totally feels different. 2-2, you feel like maybe you go 500 the next 2 games. You feel like maybe you can steal one against the Colts. You win one at home against the Tennessee Titans. Now you're 2 games up entering the Chiefs, right? Keep it interesting, stay competitive. We did not get that. 13 points given up. Go the other way to the Bears off of Geno Smith turnovers. That's the game right there. I mean, that's the game. There's no other way to sugarcoat it. And the hard part, guys, is you ruined a wonderful showing from Max Crosby, who just did everything, impacted every single play that he was on the field, and he doesn't take plays off. So he truly impacted what the Bears wanted to do. He wrecked their game. They didn't really do much. We finally get the breakout game from Ashton Genty, and you see how good, how special of a runner he can be. The 60-plus yard run, not only the breakaway speed and all of that, but it's shrugging off a tackler with that power and still accelerating into the end zone. You just see how special of a runner he can be given an offensive line that performed. And kudos to them for rebounding. That offensive line showed up yesterday, and they were a hell of a lot better than what they were against the Commanders.
I will say this though. This is going to hurt me, Vince, to say this, but Chip Kelly did a good job. I don't say that very often, but I'll be honest with you. Like, you guys weren't running bunches up down the middle anymore. Chip Kelly saw that there was obviously a need to run the ball on the outside, and clearly you could tell that was what unlocked Gentry a lot more. Maybe him standing like Michael Myers, like he did back in college, helped unlock his swagger and confidence.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah.
There's a reason for it. He's not a tall guy. So he's not standing upright to look like Michael Myers. He's doing that to see over his offensive line and read the coverages. So it clearly made a difference. He goes off for 21 carries, 138 yards and a touchdown, 2 receptions, 17 yards and 2 touchdowns. So, I mean, he had himself a hell of a day. And it just felt really great to have him on one of my fantasy teams. And basically, my guy being the dude that's going to help me hopefully win this week. So you could see the specialness. Shout out to the offensive line for rebounding and putting together a great game. The line looked really good. Geno Smith had a clean pocket, man. He had a clean pocket. He misread coverages. He threw balls that were highlight hunting. Instead of taking check downs where people were wide open, he tried to force things into an area and it bit him in the ass. And hey, respect to the Bears. They come out with the win. They get the block at the end. They win the game. But nothing they did offensively or defensively blew me away, where I said, wow, this is a better team. I get it. They get the win. Their total offense only put up 271 yards in comparison to the Raiders' 357. If you look at the stat sheet and you don't know the score and you don't know the turnovers, you're going to say the Raiders won that game. But because of the 3 picks and the 13 points off of those picks, you ain't going to have a chance to win. Major cause of concern still for this Raiders team is 3rd and 4th down conversions. You were 2 and 8 on 3rd down conversions. That final 3rd down conversion right before the blocked field goal. Why in the hell? I know you've been having success all game running behind the left tackle. Colton Miller's not in the game. And you run the first play, you run behind the backup left tackle. That was stupid. That was a terrible call. I don't know if the offensive coordinator, Chip Kelly, just went into autopilot, But the first play of the game after Colton Miller is hurt, you run right behind the left tackle and it's completely broken up. You can clearly see the left tackle and the left guard go different ways. Genty is swallowed up for a loss of yards, and then we know about the blocked field goal. So there's definitely some things that they got to work on. It was a comedy of errors. I know all week a lot of other podcasters and media folks were saying that the Bears were going to bear this one, and I don't like that saying because the Raiders know how to Raider it too right now, and it's been 20 years of seeing this mess. They got to clean it up. I watched all the post game interviews with the players. I think it definitely hurts, right? But they still appear to be confident. They appear to still be bought into the program. So I don't think Pete Carroll is losing the locker room or anything like that. They let it slip away, and it could cost them a playoff spot or just being competitive. Overall, I still think that the track that they're on is still a good track and being consistent. I still believe in John Spytek adding talent because this team just did not have enough talent last season. I know we got to see, Brock Bowers and things like that, but there is a lot more young talent on this roster right now that shows signs of potential than in previous years. There were some young guys that you're kind of hoping for and wishing for, but they never really flashed. They never really showed up. And now you got some guys in plays, in series, in moments, they're starting to flash. So the foundation is starting to form. They just need to put it together. You got 2 winnable games against the Colts. You can steal one against the Colts, and you should beat the Titans. So you should be able to beat the Titans. So I see a win there. But you got to be able to keep running the ball. You got to keep the offensive line. You got to keep the pocket clean, and you got to do more on the front seven. I know Max Crosby had a hell of a game, but I need more out of Malcolm Kuntz. I need more out of that whole defensive line, man. They got way too much talent to not get after the quarterback, and they should have been all over Caleb Williams and blowing that pocket up. And the only one who was really doing stuff was Max Crosby, and they got to get more turnovers. So overall, man, they soiled themselves once more. So they got to put their big boy pants on and get some wins, man. It's about production. It's about producing. And I will say, I think Gino can improve. It's a terrible, rough start. I get it. Um, Pete Carroll and John Spytek gave him the keys of the kingdom right now. But the way this contract is structured is if he don't perform, they can get out. So I think there is an opportunity for another quarterback. If Geno Smith's not going to be here next year, there is an opportunity for another quarterback to say, it looks pretty good to have Brock Bowers and Geno Smith and Jacoby Myers and some of those young wide receivers and say, maybe I could do something over here. So, nothing's final. Nothing's guaranteed on any contracts. There's a lot of prove it deals, and Geno Smith is on a prove it deal. There's a way out that the Raiders can get out after this year and not owe him anything. So hopefully they put it together and some wins come down the pipe. But it was a brutal loss, guys. It was absolutely brutal. I almost cried. Thank God I had some yard work to do, so I went outside and just worked and got sweaty and took my anger out on yard work.
Yeah, I mean, there should be some solace for some Raiders fans. I mean, you knew that there was going to be some hurdles that you have to clear. You knew that there was going to be some struggles. Obviously, the losing this way to the Bears is a bad faction, but I don't think the Colts are going to be a really easy out. I think
Not at all.
I think the Colts damn near win that game against the Rams if AD doesn't, their wide receiver doesn't drop the ball and fumble in the end zone and cause another mishap at the end zone. But
also, the way fumbles through the end zone work is that's a rule that needs to be looked at because that's super weird and I
agree, but
it's kind of odd. It's a touchback for the other team if it goes through the and yeah, I don't know. That's a whole other discussion. We don't need to get into it today.
Gentry made me nervous when he scored that touchdown because he threw the ball down, and I thought, man, you really should hold on to that ball. But to the point, Shakir did it for the Bills too. He let go of that ball when he got into the end zone. I don't know. I would teach my guys hold on to that ball for dear life, like it's the last piece of bread that you can have on earth. Just hold on to it. But to give you some optimism, I mean, look, it does suck right now when you're being a Raiders fan, but also too, the Ravens are 1-3, and they had high hopes and high aspirations. So I think there's always going to be that you got to be optimistic that things can change on any given Sunday. You could easily beat the Colts, and then you can turn around and win the next week after that. Now you're looking at a 3-3. You know what I mean? So optimism should be there for the Raiders there. I do think that they're going to work this out. Pete Carroll's too damn talented as a coach to have Geno Smith struggle like this, given that he was excellent to a degree in Washington, given what he had over there. So I think Geno Smith will turn this around for you guys. Just a matter of locking in and paying attention.
I mean, I still see some wins on the board. I know the Jags walked into San Francisco and beat them, but I don't think they're world beaters right now. That Tennessee's on the table. The Cowboys aren't very good right now. The Browns aren't very good right now. The Chargers just lost their offensive line. So
that's another thing too, is that like the Chargers lost. So optimism there for the Raiders.
There. The Giants, I know they got maybe they got lightning in a bottle with Jackson Dart. But we don't know what he's going to be like December 27th, late in the year. He could be really good or really bad. We don't know. He's still a rookie quarterback.
And he just lost his wide receiver 1 as well.
Exactly. The Houston Texans aren't world beaters right now.
Their offensive line is garbage.
It's garbage.
They just traded their one of their offensive tackles too, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
The big board, if you're a Raider fan, if you're you have there's wins on the table for you. You let one get away. That's the thing that hurts, is you had one and you let it slip away.
Breaking news.
Like Denny Green said, you let him off the hook.
Breaking news. I'm not going to show this for people. We're not going to show this, but Tyreek Hill has a serious leg injury and he is done for the rest of the year. So sorry for anyone who has Tyreek Hill in your fantasy team. It was
Also, Darren Waller comes out of retirement. He has 2 touchdowns in this game. So, wow. Yeah. Anyway.
All right. So, last but not least, the Eagles and the Bills are the last remaining undefeated teams. The Eagles won down in Tampa Bay, 31-25. Man, can I just say, this has got to be the most concerning 4-0 team that I've ever had to deal with. I'm happy we got the win. I'm happy we're in first place. Do not get me wrong there. But there is so many things that has to be cleaned up here. I mean, we are just struggling in the first half. Vince, if I asked you here, okay, Jalen Hurts had 130 yards passing, total yards. I'm sorry, had 130 yards total yards in the first half. How many do you think he had in the second half of this game against the Bucs? Take a guess.
Well, if you end up getting the win, I would assume it'd be less because you'd have just been able to rush to keep the lead, right?
He had 0.
So yeah, but okay.
He had 0.
Yeah, 0 pass yards in the second half. Okay.
So I don't understand. You have AJ Brown. You have Devontae Smith. Hell, you could even pass Saquon Barkley. You got him too. Dallas Goedert. 0? That's insane. Look, our defense stepped up big, and they stepped up big this whole season so far. I know it's 4 game sample size, but still, that's a quarter of the way through this. So
yeah, this is a quarter mark. We can start talking we have actual data now to work with. We're a quarter way through the season. So yeah.
So I'll give you a fun stat, Sam. Puka Nacua on Sunday had 13 catches. How many does AJ Brown have the whole season?
Less than that.
14. He has 14 catches the whole season. Puka Nacua had 13 in a game. There's so many issues. AJ Brown has come out and did a little cryptic tweet basically saying if they don't want you, blah, 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 this and that, you just keep your mind and walk out quietly, right? Clearly he's frustrated. We're frustrated as an Eagles fan base for him. 14 catches in 4 games, and Puka Nacua had 11 against the Eagles. He had 13 this week. It's uncalled for, in my opinion. It's Kevin Patula. It was 104 degrees. It was sweaty. It was swampy. if that was the fatigue that set in the second half, fine. But to have 0 passing yards, I think is ridiculous, and I don't think that's anything on being fatigued. That's just poor play calling. And unfortunately, Kevin Batula, our offensive coordinator, is running the same schematic calls, and it's predictable at this point. So I'm not really happy for it. Unfortunately, it's something that needs to get fixed. It needs to be addressed ASAP. Jalen Carter's having his issues. I think that's going to get worked out. He got fined $15,000 for spitting on Dak Prescott. He got fined $11,000 for taunting the Rams after he blocked that field goal, the first one. So I think that's going to get worked out. That's fine. I like the fire and the passion, but that's also your paychecks, bud. That's $26,000 that you don't have anymore. So that needs to get cleaned up, in my opinion. All things considered, the first half of this game, we were rolling. We blocked a punt, took it back for a touchdown. We get a shovel pass to Dallas Goedert, a second shovel pass to Dallas Goedert. For you're up big, Tampa can only score 6 points in the first half, and then Baker Mayfield and Tampa seems to figure it out, and they put things together, and they were always just nipping at the heels. So fortunately for us, they weren't able to fully overcome that deficit, but tons of things to work on going forward. I think defensively, you're going to gas out the defense before the offense can really get rolling here. So I think that offense needs to get fixed ASAP. The time of possession for defense versus offense is absurd. The defense is going to get gassed, and I just think it's only a matter of time before we have games where we're being blown out, just because the guys are tired. We can't wait for bye week. Bye week is another 3 weeks out, so I think at this point, Kevin Batula needs to look himself in the mirror and say, hey, look, what am I doing that I can't unlock probably one of the strongest wide receivers in the game? I'm not saying he's the best, but he's definitely top, at least top 7 wide receivers in the game. So I think that there needs to be some self-reflection. If it's not just Kevin Batula, the offense itself needs to look at it. Saquon Barkley is only averaging a little over 3 yards per carry. That's ridiculous, especially at his standard for a guy that rushed over 2,000 yards. I think that's uncalled for. There needs to be a little shake-up, play actions, motions, whatever you got to do to get him unlocked. But A.J. Brown with 14 catches and Saquon Barkley averaging 3.2 yards, you're not going to win a lot of games with the struggling offense. So we go into next week. I am looking forward to it. The Broncos coming to town. I don't know what Patrick Surtain and that defense is going to be like, but it's going to be a good test for the Eagles again. Defensively, they've gone through some good matchups. Say what you want about the Cowboys. They were fresh, week 1, so can't say anything bad about it. They were 2 fresh teams. Then you go to Kansas City. Obviously, Spagnuolo is going to have an offense or a great defense plan for you. So after that, you play the Rams, another great defensive team. And then you go against Todd Bowles, another great defensive team. And I think the Broncos are really no different. So I think the test and the merit and the strength of what the Eagles can do is going to be tested again this week. So I don't think, no offense to the Giants, but after next week, maybe you get a little bit of a breather because you're playing the Giants. But again, it's really hard to win games in the National Football League. Sirianni has said that. He said that last week against Tampa. So can't take every game, as a slouch here. You got to make sure that you come in willing and ready to go every single week. So I just would like to see a little bit more creativity from the offensive side. If Kevin Batula really was in all these meetings with Kellen Moore and orchestrated a lot of talk, then I need to see it. Because right now, Kellen Moore had this team rolling offensively in 4 weeks. So right now I'm seeing what I saw shades of 2023, and I'm not liking it at all. So that's my 2 cents. I'm ready for next week.
All right. Okay.
Do you think this is all like on a offensive scheme on the OC, or you think it's like Jalen hasn't been really known as like a world beater with his arm? He's gotten better. So do you think it's like part of the coaching and part of the player execution because they haven't been as sharp as they were last season?
Yeah, look, Jalen's had 4 different offensive coordinators in the past 5 years. So that's always going to be a struggle. But I think, Jalen can read offenses. I'm sorry, he can read defenses fine. I think what we're having issues with is that we're running predictable formations. So like a lot of times if we're in the I formation, if you've got a tight end stacked on the edge of the box there, we're running a run play. It's happening 100% of the time. I can see that on the couch. And if I can see it on the couch, it's not a lot of predictability. You know what I mean? Like I can tell you it's going to be a run to the right. It's going to be a run to the left. It's not creative. You know, AJ Brown has always been excellent at creating yards after the catch. Excellent. But when you run him into a curl that gives you nothing and he's highly covered or double or triple covered, which they were trying to force balls to him in the second half, run some slants, run some play actions, like get him more involved. I know you want to be a run first type of game of offense, but you're not even doing that. Teams are stacking the box and we're running it down the middle. Where's the creativity to do a play action? You know, have them load the box and then you throw it to AJ Brown on the slant. There's no creativity. So I think this is more on the offensive coordinator than it is on Jalen Hurts being able to read a defense and get to the ball where he needs to get to, in my opinion.
All right. Just a couple of quick notes on the NFL at large. Like you said, Tyreek Hill did have a pretty bad leg injury in this game that's happening as we speak. The fans in Miami gave him an ovation as he was carted off, and so he was like, acknowledge the fans as he was on the cart. So that was a nice little moment as that happened. As something terrible happened, a nice little moment. How odd the world we live in, right? Anyway, also Jerry Jones is a weirdo. Really trying to justify his trade of Micah Parsons after the fact. He was quoted after the game against the Packers where they tied the Packers 40-40 on Sunday Night Football. He said, "It's very simple. Dak was indispensable in my mind and Micah wasn't." Micah's not indispensable.
Nothing like spending $50 million for mediocrity.
Yeah. Anyway. Okay. I just thought that was kind of funny and I had to smile about it and say thank you to the octogenarian who's running the Jacksonville Jaguars of Dallas. Although the Jacksonville Jaguars did just beat my team, so whatever. Anyway, the actual Jaguars, not the Cowboys. Anyway, also, it was announced earlier today that Bad Bunny is going to be the Super Bowl halftime show performer. I was actually seeing some tweets earlier today where somebody was saying like a bunch of people were pissed off at the Kendrick Lamar performance. Like saying that they were you think you don't understand what's being said right now, just wait till they get Bad Bunny to perform next year and it's all in Spanish. And then and it's like somebody tweeting about it like a year in advance and it's actually happening now. So
good.
I'm not the only full oracle happening.
Shout out to Puerto Rico, man.
That's right. That's
get them
right.
on a national stage, baby.
That's right. American citizen, Bad Bunny also, by the way. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory. He is an American citizen and he's going to sing